Cowboys are going to be fine. No one panic. I'm going to say a couple of things before we get started. I'm really excited about this group. The last 3 years have been challenging, but this team that Donnie and Mark and Mike Finley and Keith Grant have put together is exciting on a couple of different levels. Number one, it's a group of guys that has some experience, but are young enough to grow together. That's very exciting. The other thing is, with Luka coming back for his second year, he had a really committed summer, working on getting in great condition. And with Porzingis now, really his rehab is complete. This is an exciting time for him because he'll be on the floor in training camp officially for the first time in a long time, starting tomorrow. And I just, I feel these two guys really will complement each other well. And I think those two guys complement the rest of our group very well, and vice versa. So a lot to be excited about.
Questions?
How soon do we see Kristaps playing preseason games? Is there a plan in place?
Yeah, we will have a few days of training camp. We'll have an off day at a certain point. And then our first game is on the 8th, right? We play the 8th and 9th. So I would expect if everything goes well up to that point, that you'll see him in one of those games for sure. I don't think we'll play him back to back. That's what I feel right now. But I haven't talked to Casey about that. But yeah, I really, my understanding is that he is able to participate in camp without limitation.
And injury updates on everyone. I guess it's JJ probably is he expected to play preseason at all? Or?
He will participate in a good deal of it. Probably not all of it. We'll strategically get him in and out. Wright has a little bit of a hamstring issue that came up in a game they played early last week. He's doing well. He'll be limited the first 3 or 4 days, and then we'll see where we are. Anyone else? I don't know if anybody else really has anything going on right now.
Luka took on a huge role last year as a rookie. What strides do you see him taking this season?
Well, in the NBA, it's the difference between the NBA and the Euro League and the other leagues is that there's more games, there's more frequency of games, the season's longer, and so one of the big reasons that it was important for him to have a great summer of developing his base of conditioning was for the long haul. We're a team that when we were winning at a consistently high level before the rebuild, we start fast and finish strong. And that's going to be one of the things we talk a lot about here. We're going to talk about it with our conditioning. We're going to talk about it with the tempo of our practices. And for Luka, KP, Hardaway, all our players, this is an extremely important thing. And building up that base and the mentality to not only start fast but finish strong is extremely important.
You said you feel Luka and KP will complement each other well. What gives you confidence from both guys that will be the case?
Well, we've seen a lot of them in pickup games, during preseason. Look, they both have a tremendously high level of skill. They complement each other because Luka's great with the ball. KP can, he can screen and roll. He can screen and pop. He can slip screens and catch and shoot. He shoots with long range. He drives the ball. Both of these guys, can create problems on their own. When you get them together, we feel like they can create some even bigger problems for opponents. And so, and so far watching them, and there's no reason they shouldn't. They've had really good chemistry.
Porzingis has visibly got bigger over the offseason. Was that his initiative? Did you guys ask him to do that, or how did that come about?
Ever since he came in the trade in February, he's obviously been committed to full rehab. We basically stated that the strategy was for him not to play any games last year. And so that's what we did. It allowed him to really focus on, getting his rehab stuff in line where it needed to be, but also to build strength from top to bottom. Strength now is not just being strong, it's being functionally strong. It's being strong in ways that put you in a position to be better balanced with everything that you're doing. Well, that helps your skill set, helps your game, but it also, helps you be in positions, where you can, land better and hopefully be in a position to be prevented from certain types of injuries, and there's never any guarantees with that kind of stuff. But look, he's done it all. You go through a 19-month rehab like he has, with everything that's been involved. There's a lot. And I just know his level of excitement to be back on the floor officially is extremely high.
Rick, could you tell us the importance of having a guy like Seth Curry back?
Well, we have a strong feeling about Seth because he really had his breakout year with us 3 years ago. And as free agency was happening, we needed shooting. If you're going to have great players like Doncic and Porzingis, you got to have guys around those guys that are going to be dependable guys that can bang in shots. And you look at analytics, Seth Curry's one of the best shooters in the game. He's up there with his brother and Durant and a few other guys, Lillard and McCollum and guys like that. He's really, really good. And so we had the chance to get him back. We were extremely excited. You'll be happy to know his golf game is progressing as well. He shot his best round of his life yesterday. And he shot 81, which is pretty good. He was my partner too, which was good.
One more Porzingis question. Will this season entail any load management for him? And if so, what might that look like?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. I think it's conceivable that, back-to-backs will be something we look at early in the season, not playing him in back-to-backs. But we'll see. I don't know that anything's been officially determined. But I like our roster. It's deep. We got Marjanovic here who's gives us a really different kind of dimension from the big positions. If there's nights we have to sit KP, we've got some other really interesting options. I mean, Marjanovic, since he walked in the door about 6 days ago from the World Championships, has been a huge breath of fresh air. I mean, he came in smiling and hugging everybody and saying, I land in Dallas. This just feels like a great place. I love it here already, And the first day he walked in the door, he's like, that's a winner. Those kind of guys, you can't get enough of those kind of guys. And I saw a little on his YouTube channel last year with him and Tobias Harris, which was extremely entertaining. And so I'm sure there will be opportunities for some of that kind of stuff as well.
Do you see situations where you play him and KP together, 2 7 4 3 guys?
If they're on the roster and they're active, it's always possible.
How important is it to have JJ back to train the other guys?
How important is it? It's very important. JJ's really our last vestige to the championship team from a player standpoint. It's important. He is a natural leader. He was one of our best players last year, which was a very difficult year. And when he went out, it made things a lot harder for us. His history is he's a fast healer and a guy that really pays close attention to rehab. He had a shoulder thing back in 2010. He had a surgery. Worked hard on his rehab. Wasn't an issue in 2011 when he became a championship starter in the finals. And so, to the extent that he's available, he'll be participating in training camp from day one, but we will make sure that he's not in everything all the time. He's got to be brought along at a certain pace. He has been playing in exhibition games for the last 3 or 4 weeks, which has been great to see. But there's nothing like championship experience and a guy that has great international experience, that's done it and that can still do it, to help you, keep your team situation really focused on what's important, which is being a family, being together. If you've been in that championship locker room, you know what it's like in terms of the sacrifices that guys have to make. And JJ's been there and done all those things, and that's a big help to us.
Can you talk about Jalen Brunson's growth? You said last year that he's a man of few words, but you loved how he played last season. Just talk about what we can see from him.
Yeah, I see him getting better and better. He's stronger this year, shooting the ball better. He's a constant worker, and he's like a sponge in terms of learning the things you need him to learn. And he gives us great flexibility. I mean, he can play with the ball, he can play off the ball, he can defend ones, twos. I've seen him defend threes. We'll see. I don't know how long DeLon's going to be out, but having Jalen, it gives us options. If we needed to put him in with the starting group, or we wanted to put in somebody else with that group, we have other options.
How well do Lon's strengths match up with what you guys need, and how well does he mesh with this starting unit?
Who?
DeLon Wright.
Well, we love him. He had 2 triple doubles on us in a 3-game period last year to end the year. That was something that certainly caught our attention. But in watching him, looking at the metrics, he's a winning player. He has length. He defends. He can defend the 1 position. He can defend the 2. He can defend the 3. He drives it well. He's working very diligently on his shooting, and he is going to continue to shoot the ball better and better with us. And he's a winner. He's one of those guys you can't get enough of, that understands the importance of the little things you need to do to win games in a hard league like the NBA.
Coach, how weird does today feel without Dirk?
Well, it's different for sure. And I've been saying this for the last 2 or 3 years that it's when Dirk was no longer here, it would be the end of the world as we know it. Like that song goes, and so it's real sad on some levels for sure. But here's a guy that gave every last ounce of everything that he had to this organization, to this fan base, to all the teammates that he had over a 21-year period. It'd be great to have him back again, but I just don't think he would be physically capable of going out there. I mean, he really expended a lot last year. And the fact that he was even able to get back on the floor and perform and do the things that he did, especially in the last 2 games, going for 50 points in 2 games, what an ending to really one of the storied careers in NBA history.
The lineups have been fluid in recent years.
And one other thing, excuse me, just Brad, one thing that's a little scary, but also very exciting, is that this group of guys, led by Doncic and Porzingis, has a chance now to define what Mavericks culture is going to be like going forward. Now, coaches are always involved with that. I'm a facilitator, but the personalities of the players and, the level that they commit to a single cause is going to help define that. And, we talked about it last night. We had a meeting and talked about the importance of family, the importance that they're going to have to be a brotherhood, and that they have an opportunity to chart their own course of how they want this culture, their culture, to be defined. And so while it's scary not having a guy like Dirk anymore, the same way it was scary when Reggie Miller decided to retire with the Indiana Pacers, how could you possibly be more excited about the opportunity if you're a Mavs player right now?
Lineups in recent years have been fluid.
And they'll be fluid again.
Okay. How many starting spots would you say are up for grabs right
Oh, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think Doncic and Porzingis are going to start, if you ask me. Look, beyond that, it would be unfair to start naming names of guys that are in and out and stuff like that. I think one of the qualities, one of the defining qualities of our team, if we're going to be as good as we want to be, is that it's not going to matter to those guys. They're gonna have to understand that the team is always coming first, and the ability to have flexibility is going to make it harder on opponents, and that's how we're going to approach it.
Luka is listed as a guard and a forward.
He's the point guard. Yeah, Luka's a point guard. Yeah, and Porzingis, he's the four-man really in most cases. And when you talk about positions, you're talking really about offensive positions, because that's where play calls and things like that determine that, in most cases, the four-man's got to be here and the five-man's got to be there and whatever. But, yeah, look, I view Luka as the point guard ever since I gave him the ball last year, And then, he's unusual. He's a very unique point guard. I mean, we haven't seen a guy like this, exactly like him, really ever, in the NBA. That's 6'7" and has this particular skill set, this kind of strength, speed, quickness, feel, ingenuity on the floor, and so, he's a very, very exciting player, and very exciting player to work with because. He has a savant-like, ability to view the game and see things that happening before they happen. And so, all that stuff's great. And then, some of the challenges, you got to play with four other guys out there. And I really think that one of the things that makes him the most special is the fact that he has the ability when he steps on the floor to make four other guys significantly better and has the ability to make the game much easier for them. And players like this, are very rare.
When you have a guy like that who is coming off a historic rookie season, how do you, as a coach, or how does anybody with the team expedite him to whatever the next level is for him?
Well, the problem is that people are going to measure, people not everyone in the media, but people are going to measure progress by stats. Last year was a stat-driven year because of the situation that we were in, because he was in a big statistically driven Rookie of the Year race. I mean, let's be honest. This year is going to be different. He's playing with more players and more better players, and he's playing with another star caliber player with Porzingis. So the dynamics of the stats are going to be way different. And so I don't know what the whole thing's going to look like. I just know that, if this team's going to be as good as we feel we have a chance to be, there's going to be a lot of guys that are double-figure scorers on this team. His stats may go down, but it doesn't mean that he's a lesser player. It probably means that he's having a greater impact on the game involving other guys. But time will tell exactly how the whole thing's going to go. But, I wouldn't trade him for anybody. I wouldn't trade Doncic for anybody.
When it comes to players who make other players better, how important is it to have consistency with those other players to kind of learn how he plays so they can make them even better? Does it take a little bit of time, or is it right when he steps on the floor he makes everything?
Guys that have his kind of ability, and I've seen a few of them. I played with Larry Bird for 3 years when he was the best player on the planet. And Doncic is very unique that way too. The beauty is things are simple. You step on the floor of those guys, and it's just a different game. How's a guy like me going to play in the NBA if I don't have Larry Bird out there? Let's be honest.
You said when you all introduced Porzingis and you
made it clear that he probably wasn't going to play, that media day will be here before we know it. Feels like a long wait. Did it come quickly? Did you wait?
I couldn't wait for media day.
Now that it's close to actually getting to see him on the floor, did it?
I've seen him on the floor for weeks. I saw him on the floor at the end of the year last year. I saw him this summer when I was in Latvia. Tomorrow we'll be here very quickly, and then the thing will just fly. The whole thing will just go. And so I'm excited to see him on the floor. I know he's excited to be back on the floor.
What did you see out of Roby this summer that you know that he'll be able to contribute to this team this season?
Well, I just love the fact that he knows how to play the game. He's an athletic kid who works hard. His shooting's gotten a lot better. He can make plays. He passes. He sees things. He's a good cutter. He can play with and without the ball. And he's just a first-class kid, as a kid that you can really teach, and he'll try to do anything that you ask him to do, to make himself better and to make a team better. And so, I just think he's another really great find by Donnie Nelson. Donnie identified him at the Chicago pre-draft camp as a guy that, he really liked. And we had the 37th pick, and we were able to trade down, and we would have taken him at 37. We actually got him. I think ended up getting him at 46, right? So that was a coup, huh?
Yes.
46.
Yes.
46. So.
Coach, last month,
Sid, I see you back. I just saw you back there. How are you, dear?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Good. Mark Thompson's here. Good to see you, Mark. Anything else?
Yeah, Coach, last month, Dr. J said that Luka was a great replacement for Dirk. When time would come, like you said, what are your thoughts on that?
Look, Dr. J can say whatever. He's like one of these guys can say anything, and he's right. I don't like the word replacement. This is a new era that we enter into, really by virtue of the fact that Dirk's not playing anymore, and so, Luka and KP are the guys that the spotlight is on, because they're the guys viewed as the best players, but there's so much more to it than that. Look, these guys are young. Luka's on his first contract. KP just signed his extension. When I got drafted and made the Boston Celtics in 1984, Larry Bird was on his third contract. When I came here in 2008, Dirk was on his second or third contract. Kidd was on his third or fourth. Terry was on his third or fourth. These guys had been through the wars. They knew that winning was really important because they had gone through some very difficult losses. Our guys the guys that are here right this minute for us. They haven't gone through that. Berea's been through some of it, but Luka and KP haven't been through that. And yet this light, it shines white hot on both of these guys. And so we got to help them navigate through all that. And it's a challenging thing. And it takes love, it takes understanding, it takes empathy. You got to be able to see things through other people's eyes. They got to be able to see things through your eyes as a leader and a coach, about the vision and how and why it makes sense. It's not like the old days where you just tell players what to do and they do it. You've got to explain things now. This is a different world and a different, we've gone through generations and generations of players. And so I love the challenge. And I think these guys have a certain capacity, that, we may not have had in the old days because of all the things that they've been exposed to.
A couple more for Coach.
Last year, you guys shot a franchise record 3,002 three-pointers. Didn't shoot them that great. You shot a lot of them.
That's nitpicking, isn't it?
Do you see that?
We're going to shoot.
Ratio?
We'll shoot more this year. Yeah, I don't know if we'll shoot more, but if you look at our roster, logic would tell you that it's possible that we will shoot more because, you know, we don't have any non-shooting 5 men on this team. You know, Marjanovic hasn't shot a lot of threes, but he's got a great touch and he's capable of making threes. Now, we'll have him around the basket more than our other 5 men. That's going to be pretty obvious. But, you know, when you open up the floor with this kind of spacing and this kind of personnel, and the driving gaps get wider, it's only sensible that, you know, 3-point attempts will likely increase as well. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm not trying to start a movement for more threes. We want great shots. We want great rim attacks, and we want great looks at threes. And the mid-range stuff, you know, is not real effective for anybody, quite honestly.
You talked about how the generations are different and everything. Is that something that you just had to adapt to and learn on the fly, or is that something that you consult other people with on how you approach the players now as a coach?
You know, to be in this as long as I've been in it, you know, you've got to be an adaptive person, and you've got to be very open-minded, and you've got to use every resource possible to always learn, to always grow, to always work on being a great communicator. I mean, it's a nonstop thing. It's a nonstop thing, and so I love it. I mean, I love the challenge of doing it. I love walking over to the business office and seeing Sint hugging everybody and getting everybody fired up over there. I mean, that kind of energy, you know, is so much what success is about now.
Coach, you guys are in a loaded Western Conference, a lot of movement this offseason. There's been talk about tampering with teams and whatnot. What are your thoughts on the movement where you guys are placed and just basically what's been happening around the league?
Listen, I'm looking forward to practice tomorrow, and from there, you know, we'll work on practice for Wednesday, and then Thursday we'll figure out when we're going to have an off day. We'll have fan jam, and you know what? Our job as a team and my job as a coach is to prepare these guys to get ready to fight their ass off. I mean, that's what this is all about. And I know the West is loaded. Everybody knows it. But you know what? The Eastern Conference isn't getting any easier either. Top to bottom, this league is becoming more and more even. And so, you know, it's a great challenge. But if you can't look forward to this kind of challenge, then, you know, you shouldn't be coaching in the NBA. You shouldn't be playing in the NBA. You shouldn't be writing in the NBA. Thank you.
Thank you.